The Durian Heat, bringing big ideas, critical opinions in Southeast Asia. Hi, this is Arlene.
Hi, this is Gowri.
And we are back again with our second segment of today, which is the Durian Heat. We have a guest. She is Tanja Venisnik. She was here in Malaysia. She was here in Malaysia before, giving a statement on a dam, which is a controversial dam in Laos. And apparently the developer is a Malaysian company. Tanja Venisnik is actually part of the Mekong legal coordinator for EarthRights International. She's based in Thailand right now. Hi.
Hello.
Hello. Hi, Arlene. Hello, Gowri.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
So, can you recall us back just a bit of background on the dam controversy, as well as your trip to Malaysia to hand over the issue statement to Suhakam?
Right. So, to recap our previous interview, our previous conversation, so the Don Sahong Dam is a dam project being built in Laos, in the southern Laos, only 2 kilometers away from the Cambodian border. And this is a joint project of the Lao government and a Malaysian company called MegaFirst. This dam project has been very, very controversial in the Mekong region because it will have severe negative impacts on the lives and livelihoods of the communities in the region, not only in Laos, but also in Cambodia, Thailand, and Vietnam. And this is basically because the Don Sahong Dam will block the main channel that allows for year-round fish migration, so upstream and downstream fish migration. And the fish reduction will be such that it will impact the livelihoods of communities, access to food, and their health.
I see. So there's just so many controversy about it, and there's just so many environmental impact that people are actually fearing that would happen towards the local community and the environment there. But at the same time, any information from the Malaysian side on this?
Right. So civil society organizations have been, trying to engage with MegaFirst and contact them by writing letters to them to express their concerns and to remind MegaFirst of its obligations when they are involved in this project. However, there was never any response from MegaFirst, which is very unfortunate. So the communities and NGOs tried looking into ways how to put more pressure on the Lao government and on the Malaysian project developer to consider the impacts of the dam. And also one of the main problems with this whole project is that the baseline studies on environmental impact have not been sufficient. There has also been no transboundary environmental impact assessment that would tell us what the impacts across the border from Laos would be. And also the communities were never informed about the project by the Lao government or the Malaysian project developer or consulted with.
But is it is it normal for the Lao government to develop, either a land or a project based on just a one-sided point of view?
Well, so Lao government plans to develop 9 dams on the Mekong River, and so far there has been one dam called the Zayaburi Dam, which was also very controversial, but the Lao government actually went on with the project in quite the same way as it is doing now with the Don Sahong. So the Zayaburi Dam project, as well as the Don Sahong Dam project, both underwent a prior consultation process under the 1995 Mekong Agreement. And this is an agreement between Laos, Thailand, Cambodia, and Vietnam that is provides for the joint utilization of the Mekong River. However, this agreement and this prior consultation process is quite a weak framework, and it doesn't allow any, community participation. It also was very, very controversial among the civil society organizations and NGOs, because the whole process was conducted based on inadequate information, on baseline studies on transboundary impacts.
Mm-hmm. Well, for the Malaysian side, can you recall back what happened to your trip to Malaysia?
So, as I mentioned before, NGOs started looking into ways how to, engage with the Malaysian company and to put more pressure on them around this project. And one of the strategies that was identified was the Malaysian Human Rights Commission. Mm-hmm. So after consulting,
Suhakam in short.
Suhakam, yes. So after consulting with the Cambodian and Thai communities around this project and seeking their support for filing this complaint, a group of regional, international, and local NGOs from Cambodia and Thailand filed a complaint with Suhakam, asking them to conduct a public inquiry into MegaFirst's conduct in the Don Sahong project.
So has anything happened yet for the public inquiry?
Right. So this complaint was filed in October last year. Community representatives from Cambodia and Thailand were also there presenting their statements before Suhakam. And so far, Suhakam hasn't said anything public yet, whether it has decided to accept the case or conduct an inquiry into MegaFirst. But we know they are looking into the case, as we also know that one of the major themes of Suhakam that they are generally working on is business and human rights. Mm-hmm. So at this point, we are waiting to hear back from Suhakam whether they've officially decided to look into the case or not.
Mm-hmm. So right now, is there any much progress from the Malaysia side? Did you meet any politicians or any civil society members that are willing to extend or to spread the issues, the awareness of the issues in Malaysia?
Right. So while we were filing the complaint, we conducted a side event, a film screening of a documentary about the Don Sahong, and some Malaysian civil society organizations and NGOs were present there. So we were able to raise awareness about the issue to some extent, and also there was a fair amount of media coverage about the complaint. And we are also aware that a member of parliament of the opposition raised the issue in parliament in October, asking the Malaysian government to regulate MegaFirst's conduct in its overseas operations, and also to regulate the conduct of companies doing business abroad in general. However, we also know that the response of the Malaysian Minister of Trade was that basically that Malaysia has no plans in doing that, and that if the Mekong River Commission decides that the project doesn't have any environmental harms, that then MegaFirst would be allowed to proceed as planned.
Mm-hmm.
However, here it's important to note now that, as I mentioned before, the prior consultation process under the Mekong River Commission framework has resulted in the Thailand and Cambodian and Vietnamese government expressing their strong opposition to the project. Exactly because they think it will have severe environmental and social impacts.
Mm-hmm.
And they've submitted their responses demanding the suspension of the project until further studies are done.
Mm-hmm.
So what are some of the environmental or social impact that will have if this building of the dam goes on?
Right. So as I mentioned before, the main problem is that the Don Sahong Dam will block the main channel that allows for fish migration.
Mm-hmm.
And if the local communities rely on fishing for their livelihood, and also, for example, 80% of people in Cambodia rely on fish for their protein intake. So we are also talking on access to food issues and also health problems if this dam is to go ahead. And also there will be impacts on the endangered species of Irrawaddy dolphins that live in the nearby transboundary pool,
Mm-hmm.
I mean nearby the project site.
The Irrawaddy dolphins, are they an under threat animal?
Right, they are severely under threat. They are an endangered species, and WWF in Cambodia has done a campaign last year around the Irrawaddy dolphin and the Don Sahong Dam, and it gathered almost 500,000 signatures around the world, urging MegaFirst to suspend the project until further studies are done.
Mm-hmm.
And the appropriate mitigation measures are adopted.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk about the Malaysian side of your support. I mean, the support of this campaign. One of it is Charles Santiago, the member of one of the member of parliaments in the opposition party. What have they come out in terms of their statement towards the issue?
Sorry, I didn't catch that. Could you repeat, please?
One of the supporters of the campaign against the dam project in Laos is a member of parliament from the opposition party, Charles Santiago. Just wondering, what are their statements on the issue?
Well, as far as we know, Mr. Santiago raised the issue regarding MegaFirst in his budget speech last year, raising awareness or, informing the Malaysian government about MegaFirst's involvement in this highly controversial project, and basically requesting the government to look into this and to adopt measures to regulate MegaFirst's behavior and also the behavior of any Malaysian companies who operate abroad. Because he pointed out it was an issue of Malaysian reputation abroad. So according to some global standards, such as the UN Guiding Principles on Business and Human Rights, states and companies have human rights obligations. Mm-hmm. So the primary obligation of states is to protect against human rights impacts and human rights violations of companies who operate not only at home but abroad as well. And then again, there's a corporate duty to respect human rights when companies do business either at home or abroad.
We will talk more about the company Mega First later on after this music break.
The Durian Heat, bringing big ideas, critical opinions in Southeast Asia.
Hey, this is Arlene.
Hi, this is Gowri.
And we are back again with Tanja, sharing with us, coming from EarthRights International, on the Laos Dam and its environmental threats, as well as from the Malaysia side. There's been response by Suhakam and also some politicians in Malaysia concerning on the issue of the Malaysian company which is involved with the building of the Laos Dam. Can you give us a bit of update on the company and what Malaysian politicians have done so far?
Right. So regarding the company and its involvement in Don Sahong, there was this issue was raised in the Malaysian Parliament by Mr. Charles Santiago, and we learned that he raised the issue during his budget speech, drawing the attention of the Malaysian government to what is going on in Laos in this project. And he said that the project will tremendously impact not only the people of Laos, but also those in Thailand, Cambodia, and Vietnam, as I mentioned before. And this is due to the severe environmental and social impact that the dam will have, which we also discussed before. And Mr. Santiago pointed out in Parliament that Mega First is trampling on the basic human rights of the people who are living along the Mekong River from Thailand all the way to Vietnam, to the Mekong Delta.
If I may barge in, because the Mega First Corporation is a private entity, although it's from Malaysia, but it has nothing to do with the Malaysian government. It's not a GLC even. It's really a private company. So how can Malaysian government handle this in the first place? Because number one, with the coming of AEC, companies are free to do business all over Southeast Asia, regardless of what their conduct is based on the problem of Laos government not having a stronger law or a standardized a standardized working environment for or a standardized environmental law in this case of the dam. So what was the response of the Malaysian government in this case? Do they agree that they actually have no say on this case?
So the response of the Malaysian government to the issue raised in Parliament was actually quite dismissive, and it basically said that the Malaysian government has no responsibility to regulate these business operations abroad, and that if the Mekong River Commission decided that there were no environmental harms, then Mega First was free to proceed as planned. However, as I mentioned before, this is a highly controversial project, and the governments of Thailand, Cambodia, and Vietnam, whose communities will be affected by this project, express their strong opposition, demanding that the construction be suspended until further studies are done. And yes, as you mentioned, businesses, in particular Malaysian businesses, are of course, free to operate abroad. However, when they do that, they have not only to respect domestic laws, but also human rights. And according to some existing global standards, such as the UN Principles on Business and Human Rights, for example, that I mentioned before, states such as Malaysia have a duty to protect against human rights violations by business enterprises when they operate either at home or abroad. And in this case, it means that the Malaysian company MegaFirst is involved in a project that will likely have severe impacts on the human rights of communities. And in addition to that, it has already violated some procedural rights of communities, such as the right to information and the right to public participation and consultation in the process. So this is something actually that states have a duty to protect against. And then corporations also have an independent duty to respect human rights.
But if they actually bulge in and take control over the matter, would it be the first? Because in Malaysia, usually when it comes to companies or firm, if they breach any standard procedures or regulations in this country, then it's easier for the government to handle. But if it's outside of the country, how the government are able to do, the governments are able to do so? Should they form like a standardized regulation on this, or should Malaysian government pressure Laos government, or should, in this case, sue the MegaFirst Corporation? Because this has never been done before, I suppose.
So, there are two branches here. One is engaging with the Lao government. This is more on a political level. Or, engaging or regulating the company, MegaFirst, which is a different matter, because states have the primary duty to protect against human rights violations by businesses in their territory or jurisdiction. And how they can do that? They can do that by enforcing laws and making sure the laws promote business respect for human rights. They also can do this should do this by guiding businesses on their responsibilities and requiring business reporting. Now, both Malaysian and Lao laws have provisions that provide for the need to inform the communities about these types of development projects and to consult with them throughout the process. And this is something that hasn't been followed by MegaFirst, although Lao laws do provide for that. And this is domestic legislation, but as I mentioned before, there are also corporate duties to respect human rights that exists independently of states' responsibilities or abilities or willingness to fulfill human rights obligations.
I do not wish to criticize, but in this sense, there's only so much Malaysian government can do. In this case, when it comes to persecuting MegaFirst, let's say the Malaysian government did limit MegaFirst's role in the Laos dam, but would it be the case where Laos government would engage with another company, maybe a Singapore company or maybe a company in Thailand to continue or to resume the project in Laos? So I guess the bigger picture would be the problem with the problem with Laos government, or the weakness in ASEAN to actually address the issue of regulations, environmental regulations all over Southeast Asia. Wouldn't be the case with that?
Right. There are issues, on the political level, of course, and with the plans of the Lao government to become the battery of Southeast Asia by building all of these dams on the Mekong mainstream. However, there is another issue that I think is important to look at, and this is the issue of business and human rights in general, all over the world, and not just in Southeast Asia. All businesses have a duty to protect against human rights impacts and not to violate human rights when they operate either at home or abroad.
I think one matter that is also quite important is the matter on awareness of not just the environmental impact, but also, transnational impact towards areas that will be affected by the building of the dam. Maybe you can share with us what are the impact towards other countries that are neighboring Laos if the dam project is to be completed.
Right. So Mekong is a joint river, and in this case, it is, if the channel is blocked that I mentioned before, the main channel that allows for all year-round upstream and downstream fish migration, it is definitely going to impact all the communities that live along the Mekong River, as it will diminish and have impact on fisheries. And, this is not just bound to the Lao territory, but this river flows through Thailand, Laos, Cambodia, and Vietnam. So it's logical that it will impact all of these countries.
Mm-hmm. But have the Lao people themselves, people living around that region, actually came forward and do some protest or demonstration, or has it only been the civil society?
So we need to know that the political space in Laos is very small, and communities there have difficulties in expressing their concerns when it comes to projects like this. So here more active are the communities in Cambodia and Vietnam, whose governments oppose this project.
Mm-hmm. Another area which is about the Malaysian public. Has there been any attempts to create more awareness among the Malaysian public or the public in Laos also?
Well, in Malaysia, I think the filing of the complaint and the issue raised in Parliament by Mr. Charles Santiago has raised some awareness, and I think also the upcoming ASEAN People's Forum that will be hosted by Malaysia is another opportunity to engage with this issue and to raise awareness about the hydropower issues and the projects on the Mekong mainstream.
Has the media play any role in terms of highlighting the issue in the national media in Malaysia as well as media all over Southeast Asia?
Well, there has been fair coverage of the project in, for example, Cambodian and Vietnamese media, because both in Cambodia and Vietnam, as well as in Thailand, there were community consultations that were organized by national Mekong River committees under the prior consultation process that I mentioned before. So there was quite a bit of media coverage there. Then in Malaysia, because it's kind of detached from the Mekong region, it's far away and not impacted by these developments. Of course, there's been less coverage, but I think that when we filed the complaint with Suhakam, there was quite some, interest from the media around the filing.
So what are the challenges next for EarthRights as well as civil society groups in Laos, not just to highlight the issue, but to, in fact, maybe take down the Laos government's attempt to build the dam, as well as to pressure the Mega First Corporation and maybe pressure the Malaysian government to take action against the Mega First Corporation?
Well, I think there are many, approaches that can be taken in this case. One of them is definitely seeing what will happen with the Suhakam complaint. This is the first transboundary case for Suhakam. So, to do an inquiry into a company doing business abroad. But it's a unique opportunity for Suhakam to, be progressive and to engage with the issue of business and human rights. Mm-hmm. So we are urging them to take the case on and basically support the communities in their struggle against this very harmful project. Then another approach, of course, is on a more political level, because now that the prior consultation has reached the stage where the countries submitted their final replies about what they think about the project, and because basically there was no agreement on what to do next, because Laos is unilaterally going forward with this project, the whole issue was referred to the MRC Council. And this is basically the same thing that happened with the Xayaburi Dam, where nothing was done under the MRC framework in the end, and it proved to be a very inadequate avenue for addressing these very concerning issues.
Mm-hmm. What about the case on taking down the Laos government? Is there any attempt maybe by ASEAN to pressure the Laos government to be more ethical in terms of the way it handles developmental issues in its country?
Well, I think that all the countries that expressed their opposition to the project, as I said, Thailand, Cambodia, and Vietnam, could and should put more pressure on the Lao government as ASEAN member states to reconsider their plans and to also conduct appropriate studies before going ahead with such projects.
But in Southeast Asia, this is not a regulation that every companies have to adhere to, or is it the other way around?
What do you mean?
Meaning that, if they want to let's say they want to build a dam, they have to go through a few regulations, meaning that they have to pass the environmental assessment test, or any form of regulations to protect the local environment and the local communities there.
Right. Before going ahead with such projects, proper baseline studies have to be conducted, also proper environmental and social impact assessments, which were done by MegaFirst but are very, very lacking and very insufficient.
That means there's no standardization among countries in Southeast Asia or within Laos on a proper assessment to be done.
So there are international standards saying, talking about the standards, but these impact assessments have been reviewed by some scientists, and everybody, the scientists are in the agreement, experts are in the agreement that more studies have to be done before it should be possible to proceed with such a project. More baseline studies in terms of fish species that are going to be affected, more studies about environmental and social impacts, then of course transboundary environmental impact assessments that are something that should be done under customary international law haven't been conducted. And also, most importantly, communities have not been informed or consulted about this project. So again, without proper information
has this issue been taken on the ASEAN level to discuss and to find a solution, or at least to have a dialogue?
Well, this issue, in particular the Don Sahong issue, no, as far as I know, but the member states of ASEAN, such as Thailand, Cambodia, and Vietnam, have expressed their opposition to the project.
Mm-hmm. Has this been raised in the ICHR, the Human Rights Commission of ASEAN?
No complaints or submissions have been submitted to ICHR. As we know, the ICHR mechanism is not a very strong mechanism, and it hasn't dealt with any, complaints so far or addressed any submissions that were sent by communities and NGOs in the past. So definitely ICHR would have to be strengthened in the future, and I think this is something that is on the ASEAN's agenda, so it can become an effective regional human rights mechanism in the future.
So what's next? What's next for EarthRights and the supporters of EarthRights to to create more awareness on the issue of the Laos Dam, as well as to be able to use legal action against the business misconduct of MegaFirst?
So in particularly with Don Sahong and MegaFirst, we are waiting to hear back from Sukhakam about their next steps.
Mm-hmm.
And also depending on that, we will think about our, further steps and further strategies. We are also looking into and exploring some other strategies at the moment. And, there is a global campaign going on against or raising awareness around hydropower issues and also in the Mekong region.
Mm-hmm. Just for the Malaysian audience, how they can participate or at least just gain more awareness of the danger of hydropower dams and also on the particular issue within the Laos dams?
Well, I guess it's to stay informed. There are many organizations that are addressing these issues, such as EarthRights International, or also International Rivers, an organization who co-signed the complaint to Sukhakam. Then, as I mentioned before, WWF has had a campaign to petition against the project in connection with the endangered Irrawaddy dolphin. And also, just staying informed about the developments in the Mekong region.
Mm-hmm. Do you have any social media sites or website that people can go to get more information about the Laos Dam, Dong Sahong Dam?
Well, there is many information on our website, so EarthRights International, EarthRights.org, and also on the website of International Rivers.
Mm-hmm. With that, thank you very much. Thanks for sharing your view with us. Maybe next time we will have Malaysian politicians to talk about this and maybe to create more awareness in Malaysia on the Dong Sahong Dam building. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.